For this week, I want us to look at the module Engaging New Knowledge. Uh, so find that in our Blackboard main page and our Blackboard menu, and go ahead and open that content module where it says Engaging Learners with New Knowledge. And this is really kind of, I think, a simplistic module, but I want you to practice with everything. So as always, go ahead and look at the essential questions here and become familiar with the essential questions. And this one also, if you are thinking about doing research in in an area of education, like authentic learning is really a robust area in which to research. So that may be an idea to consider. But anyhow, let's look at the articles here about creating authentic learning experiences and then helping students organize new knowledge. A lot of times you'll see different strategies like guided notes or graphic organizers, and this gives you, both of these articles are really pretty concise, and I would encourage you to read both of them because for this particular module, your assignment is really developing a hook lesson or a type 1 lesson. So you can go back to your format wheel and you can look at the type 1 lesson that you have listed there. However, that is certainly not the type 1 lesson or hook lesson that you have to use for this particular assignment. So really what you're going to do is think about a hook lesson or a type 1 lesson to where you're engaging students on a concrete level, and then how you would ask students to process that level of engagement, either during the time that they're engaging or after the engagement. For instance, let's say you wanted to use a gallery walk for your type 1 or hook lesson. So you have 5 different photographs about some historical event, and you have students using a what I call a process sheet, maybe a series of questions that would help them unpack that picture or photograph or even a painting, any kind of art in the gallery. It could be a question like, what describe the picture or the photograph? What historical event do you think that this photograph or picture is related to, or what is it, or what impact may it have it had, may it have had on American history? And here, there's not really a wrong answer because you're not reviewing content here. Remember what the hook lesson is, or the type 1 lesson is. It's about introducing content or concepts. So really, this is low risk for students. Right now, you're just wanting them to engage with their senses, whether it be visual or auditory or kinesthetic. You want them to get up, move around, and participate in whatever it is, so that then process it, right? Like you can, like I say, use the process sheets, or you can, and once they have written down kind of their responses for each visual, you can have them partner up with someone and discuss what they saw, because there's the value that a student may see things very differently. The perspective may be very different. And so, and then as they partner up and process each photograph, you can pull it back in, and after they've had a chance to really kind of to have that discussion, and you can start asking some overall questions about, well, what did we think this picture was about, or what did we think about this picture? And so then you can kind of have that whole class discussion after they've had a chance to maybe process it collectively and collaboratively with their partners. So that's just an example of a hook lesson or a type 1 lesson. There are plenty of them. Uh, so really, that's this assignment, is you figure out what you want to do for a type 1 or hook lesson. And again, it can be the one that you have listed in your format wheel that you developed in the first week, that first 2 weeks, I guess, that we were in the course. But here's what I want you to do. I want you to videotape yourself either teaching it, if you have students available and you want to experiment with it and you have the opportunity to actually teach it. Obviously, you want to make sure that you're using fidelity when you're videotaping your students. And whatever the rules are for that school. You just want to make sure that you're not, taping students and getting them their face on the video if they're not allowed to be videoed or photographed. So just be mindful of that. Or if you don't have a class, which I know many of you don't, you will want to videotape yourself explaining the type 1 or hook lesson. So it's like you would start with, well, I would welcome the class and do our warm up, and then we would start with this particular lesson by doing whatever, and then you would also explain how they would process it. So really, this is that type 1 right brain and then type 1 left brain experience. And that's it. The video, most of them are usually about, if you're just videoing the explanation of the activity, it's usually about 5 minutes. If you're going to teach it, then that's obviously going to be longer because you're going to allow the students to work through all the things that you have included in this particular lesson. So that is this particular module. It doesn't take long for you to complete this module, but you want to be mindful of it. Do the readings and understand the essential questions kind of before you get started with the hook. Even though we've talked about type 1 lessons a little bit earlier in the course, now we're really trying to figure out how they apply in the classroom, right? Like, what does this look like in the classroom? Talked about constructivism, or talk about constructivism, where constructivism is that theory where you're building knowledge upon prior knowledge. And of course, it's very difficult to build new knowledge if you don't have the prior knowledge. And that's what a lot of these hook lessons and type 1 lessons create, is an experience so that students can continue to build on that experience. So it's very important. Engaging new knowledge is extremely important, because this leads to really the next few modules: deepening understanding and inquisitiveness, and a lot of the other things that we'll discuss as we move forward. So, and have a little fun with this. Go in and read those articles, become familiar with authentic learning and how to organize and structure new information, and then use that information along with what you already know about differentiation in type 1 learners, and develop a really good hook lesson and instructional video.